Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I am Noel T. Manning II, and I got some old friends with us. I used to call these guys the Cinemen, but that doesn't exist anymore. Darryl Mansel and Douglas Davidson had this show called the Cinemen, and then they went through a very amicable breakup. Unlike pretty much like any rom-com. Something's gonna
I
something's
wanted to
gonna
run through
divide
the
them.
airport to get to him, but security.
Yeah, something's going to divide them, but we'll find a way to bring them back together. And we thought the best way to bring them back together was on Meet Me at the Movies, and we offered them free popcorn and a ticket to next year's Reel to Reel Film Fest, directed by Thomas Manning. So
Nice.
there you go. It doesn't
Nice.
take much to make you happy. So we're glad you guys are here. Welcome. Well, I put the plea out to you guys earlier in the summer, and I was saying I wanted to do another show with you, and I wanted to kind of have some kind of summer-related vibe. And I think, Darryl, you're the one that kind of had an idea, and off of that idea, we switched it around. Is that correct? Does that sound accurate?
Sounds about right to me, yeah.
So this show does relate to summer, but I think our unofficial title was that really a summer release? Or something like that. You can choose how you choose to interpret that. But yeah, we're going to talk about films that we may or may not have known were released in the summer. Or you as an audience might be going, huh? That was in the summer? There ain't no way. So we're gonna start off with Darryl Mansel, since we're going through the alphabet, and DA is before DO. So Darryl, give us a film that was a summer release, and talk about why it's on your list.
A film that was a summer release came out in June of 2009, a little science fiction movie called Moon, directed by Duncan Jones, starring Sam Rockwell and Sam Rockwell. When I think of summer movies, I think the general consensus is big, loud action, popcorn flying all over the place, audiences cheering. Moon is a much smaller, more introspective movie. I always say that the best science fiction movies are the movies where you kind of learn a little bit about humanity with the trappings of sci-fi, and I think Moon does a great job with that. About man on the moon, mining minerals, shooting them back down to Earth. That is his job. He's been up there isolated by himself for 3 years. At the beginning of our movie, he has 2 weeks left, has an accident, and spitting out of that accident, a number of surprises ensue from there. A great, tight little thriller, a one-man show. It is absolutely gorgeous. I saw it at a completely empty theater. Like I said, in the middle of June. It was disappointing. I spent the rest of the summer trying to tell people, go watch this great movie, Dune. Also, great soundtrack by Clint Mansell. No relation there. One of my top 5 favorite scores of all time.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing about that. Douglas, you have any questions for Darryl about Moon?
Does it have a happy ending?
It has a very ambiguous ending. We'll put it that way. Endings that are never answered.
Does Sam Rockwell make it out alive? If you're going up against Sam Rockwell, I need to know.
Sam Rockwell, yes, or maybe no.
Oh. Okay. Well, Thomas just texted me and said he had a question. So he said, ask Darryl Mansel, has he ever mooned anyone in public? So since you're talking about Moon, Thomas, we'll ask that question. So the answer is yes.
The answer is absolutely no. No. The public does not want any of that.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that Thomas has that answer. I'm not sure it was the one he was looking for, but it's the answer he gets. All right, Douglas, give us your list of, was that really a summer movie? What's the top of your list?
Oddly enough, mine goes sort of hand in hand with Darryl's. From a slightly different perspective. Mine is a 2017 release that is actually available right now, streaming on Netflix, or you can purchase it through Criterion. Either way, please check this out. It's a 2017 movie by Bong Joon-ho by the name of Okja. It is one of my favorite films of 2017. It is a film that I have not stopped talking about since I saw it. I watched it in a very empty my office for the very first time, and have been trying to get other people to watch it ever since. A lot of folks feel like Netflix movies tend to be films that are disposable in a lot of ways. But much like Moon, Oksha is something that is very thoughtful.
Mhm.
It is the story of a young girl by the name of Misha who lives with her, I believe it's her grandfather, on a farm where they raise what is called a super pig. And it's called a super pig because it's absolutely enormous, and it was bred that way on purpose. And they are part of a, we'll call it global competition to see who can raise the super pig and who will be chosen as the best super pig. Well, what Misha doesn't realize is that their pig, Oksha, will not only be chosen, but be taken from them. So Misha leaves their little village and goes straight into the city in order to try to rescue Oksha. So it's a bit of a rescue film, but it's also a film that explores environmental issues. It explores animal rights issues and a number of other very heavy things. It is a hard watch, particularly towards the end, but it is a wonderful and thought-provoking film in which even the cinematography shifts from its sort of natural, magical realism, if you will, of the mountains of Japan, and then as you get further and further into the more urban areas, everything sort of the look of it, the shooting style, everything changes. It's got a phenomenal cast of people that you know: Tilda Swinton, Paul Dano, Jake Gyllenhaal, Lily Collins, Stephen Yuen. But it's led by Ahn Soo-hyun, who plays Misha, and she is the anchor for this film. It is fantastical, it is magical, but it is incredibly dramatic. So be aware, but please do check it out.
Awesome. Darryl, any questions for Douglas on the film Oksha?
No questions. While Doug was talking about it, he was the person who got me to watch it. It really occurred to me that Okja is maybe the closest I've gotten to a live action Miyazaki movie.
Yes.
It kind of has a bit of that feel, a bit of that tone. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you for that suggestion there, good sir.
And you can get it on 4K. You can own it on 4K from Criterion, which is the best way, honestly, to watch it.
Yep.
Awesome. And Thomas just continues with the questions that are completely legitimate, and we can only expect Thomas Manning to send this. So how much bacon can you get from a super pig is Thomas's question. I don't know if we want to address that. No, I'm sorry. How many pounds of bacon can we get from a super pig?
Well, is he still in Canada? Because Canadian bacon comes in a different metric scale, I think, than American, if he's still there. But too much. And when it comes from Oksha, we don't want it. We don't want it from Oksha.
Okay. All right. There we go, Thomas. Just keep the questions coming, man. We'll keep asking. Maybe. So the first film I'm going to talk about in this episode of Meet Me at the Movies, was that really a summer movie? Is a movie called Sing Street. And here's what's interesting about this film, released back in 2016. It's a coming of age backdrop musical. So it's not the traditional musical where they break out into song. It's a film about a guy after a girl, and he decides to start a band because he knows that'll get the girl. That's the kind of concept of this film. And Sean O'Connell, one of our mutual acquaintances, introduced me to this film, and it was released initially Sundance Film Festival in January 2016. And then it started gradually being released in the UK and the US, and it actually hit theaters here. And it wasn't wide release, but it hit theaters here in the summer. And I remember, being on the lookout for this. And when this film came out, I said, I got to check this out because I love movies that deal with the backdrop of music as kind of that story vehicle. But the way this one did it was just so beautiful. John Carney directed this, wrote the screenplay, and he's no stranger to his love of music and using music within film. What I loved about this, it took place during the 80s, and this kid who kind of falls for this girl that he sees. He has no musical background whatsoever. He doesn't know how to, he's just going to start a band because that's the way to get the girl. And so he ends up learning about music from his older brother, who pretty much knows everything there is to know about music. And his older brother's kind of this stoner dude that, you throw in Jack Black and Jeff Spicoli into a blender, and that's kind of what you get with this older brother. But it was just a charming film, and it did get nominated for Best Music Comedy from the Golden Globes. And I just really loved where this was shot. I love stylistically what they did because they would play off bands like Duran Duran, Hall & Oates, and U2, and they would look at these bands and they would create music that would sound like these bands wrote the music. And it was just incredibly creative to do it that way. And this was, of course, took me back to, my years of working at Camelot Music when MTV was king, and just remembering some of these music videos that the music was inspired by. But Sing Street is the name of that film from 2016.
Wonderful film.
Excellent.
Absolutely wonderful film.
And Thomas has no question for me about this, so we're going to...
It's so weird.
Funny how that happens.
It's so weird. Hold on a second. Oh, he seems to have sent me one.
Oh, boy.
And Thomas was wondering, out of all the bands that they sort of
emulated
some mimicry with in Sing Street, why was Flock of Seagulls your favorite, and how long did you have that hairstyle back in the day?
So I had the hairstyle for about a week before my boss told me that if I didn't change it, then I would be looking for another job. So I had it for a week. I went ahead and looked for another job, and then I got a job at Camelot Music, and I could wear my hair any way I wanted to. So
there you go.
And also the Cure was another one of those bands that was a spotlight band for that film as well. Well, we've got time to dive into one more before the break. So Darryl, we'll go back to you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to another June release. Just the height of silliness, June 2001. I want to talk for a second about a little film called Pootie Tang. Pootie Tang is one of the most absurd movies to ever be created. The product of Chris Rock. Something that Saturday Night Live kind of did over the years is they took a good sketch and they tried to stretch it out to hold movies like Your Night at the Roxbury's. I think Pat got her own movie. Superstar, the things that work in 5-minute bunches don't always work in a 75 or 90-minute full-length feature film. Pootie Tang, the product of a Chris Rock show sketch, lent itself to a massive amount of absurdity, with a complete unknown in Lance Crowder as the titular Pootie Tang, the lead of the movie. Chris Rock in a couple of different roles. It's just goofy. There's a story about a guy who's just well loved by everyone. Nobody really quite knows why. He's a man of few words. And the adventures that he has to get into to save the oncoming onslaught of gentrification, as led by Robert Vaughn, Magnificent Seven's Robert Vaughn, and his lackey comedian Dave Attell. It's just every dumb joke you could think of, every goofy bit of visual flavor that you can throw in there. Hilarious quotable lines that 23 years later I'm still quoting. It's a great funny movie. If your comedy leans towards goofy, silly, and absurd, then this is a movie for you.
Well, if you're watching this show, you pretty much understand goofy, silly, and absurd, and that's pretty much who all three of us are. So there you go.
Yes.
All right, Darryl, thanks for sharing that. We are going to take a quick intermission right here on Meet Me at the Movies. We're going to come back with more, and Douglas will be on the hot seat for films we're talking about. Was that really a summer release? Right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Stick around.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch?
Hey, I'm David Allen, back as armchair quarterback host I'm Guy Suttle from C19 TV Sports.
And I'm Rob Root from KTCBroadcasting.com.
What's in store on the gridiron? Each week we look at all 4 Cleveland County High School football teams, Burns, Crest, Kings Mountain, and Shelby. We will look at what happened the week before and look ahead at what's coming up this week.
And we'll also discuss ACC, SEC, and Gardner-Webb college football.
And of course, the NFL and those Carolina Panthers.
So don't miss another great season of football right here on Armchair Quarterback on C19 TV and online at C19.tv.
Hi, I'm Deb Harden, host of For Your Information. The goal of our show is to educate and entertain you about all things pets throughout Cleveland County. We have various guests joining me each month to talk about dogs, cats, pigs, whatever kind of pet you can think of. Also each month, we will be joined by some furry friends looking for their forever homes. For your information each month, right here on C19 TV and online at www.c19.tv.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a
Welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II, joined by Darryl Mansel and Douglas Davidson as we talk movies of summer. Was it really a movie that was released in the summer? That's what we're talking about for this week's Meet Me at the Movies on C19 TV. When we went to the break, Darryl took us out with a Chris Rock film. And Douglas, we're back to you, man. What's next on your list of, was that really a summer release?
Mine is a June 2018 release that I don't know how many people saw it, but what I can tell you is not enough people saw it. Because if you haven't seen this movie, then that's not enough people. And it's a film that, if you like the music of Sing Street, then you will enjoy the music that comes from Brett Haley's Hearts Beat Loud. It is a film about a father played by Nick Offerman and his daughter played by Kirstie Clemens, who she's getting ready to go off to college, and he runs a record store and doesn't really want her to leave, and he's a single dad because I believe the mom passed away, and he's struggling to keep the business running, and he's struggling because his daughter is going to leave, and his daughter's also falling in love with a young lady who's played by Sasha Lane, who's really wonderful in this. And the dad doesn't want the daughter to go emotionally far. And so he comes up with this idea that they'll form a band called We're Not a Band. And he sort of plays around with this music that he's got and that she's got. And it all culminates in, there's all these wonderful like pieces of songs throughout the film. Some with lyrics, some that aren't, and it culminates in these wonderful songs that Hallie not only, I believe, composed but wrote. The score for this is really great too. But they are songs that, even it's been about 6 years since I've seen it, still find me getting emotional to think about, particularly within the context of the movie. And what's really wonderful about it is that it's a love story as father to child, but also Clemens' character in what she's going through and whether or not she stays or leaves and what that means for this relationship that's just started. And it's really wonderful in that regard as well. I have to at least mention Blythe Danner is in it, as well as Toni Collette. It's got a wonderful supporting cast. It's got an incredible central cast, and it's just so moving and kind and sweet without being saccharine. There's, forgive me for the pun, there's not a single false note in the film. I know, but it is an apt description. The songs themselves are wonderful, but it's the story that courses through it that really, really makes the impact. Right. It was released by, I think, Gunpowder and Sky, and I don't really know how many people heard about it when it got released, but I've been really banging the drum ever since. So if you have not seen this, if you're looking for something that'll warm you, much in a similar way that Sing Street would, Hearts Beat Loud.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, actually, a film that I have not seen on this list, and so you keep banging that drum, buddy, bang it all day long. I definitely want to check this movie out. Sounds like a great double feature with Sing Street for sure. Awesome. Well, we can't talk about summer films that we didn't know were summer films or didn't really think about being summer films without talking about a film that actually has summer in the title. So we talked about this before we went on the air. And my film that I'm going to talk about relating to summer was released in 2009 from a guy who has a little bit of a web slinger in his blood. The name of the movie is 500 Days of Summer, directed by Mark Webb. And it's just you talk about an interesting love story. I remember reading about the concept of this film that tells a love story in a very non-linear fashion, a very non-traditional fashion as well. And I love the cast that was cast in this: Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel, and Zoe's name in the film is Summer. And it really doesn't really follow what happens at summer in the season of summer, but it's more about the 500 days that this person spent with summer. And I really just loved the way the story was told. And it was one of those films that, we talked earlier about rom-coms, and, rom-coms only succeed if there's conflict between the characters, something that keeps these characters apart. And with this film, and told in a way that's non-linear, you really do find yourself wondering, okay, is this conflict going to actually work its way out, or has it worked its way out, or has it not? You just find yourself asking a lot more questions. And I would definitely call this a cult classic. I think more people need to see this film. It's a relatively short film, only about 95 minutes runtime, limited budget, about $7.5 million, but 60 plus million at the box office. So it did pretty well. Originally released again, another Sundance film in January, but it was in August of 2009 when it hit theaters. And for me, it was one of those sleeper films that kind of came out at that time of year that most people are thinking about summer being gone, but you still have a few weeks left. And I just really loved this film. It's one that I've continued to let people know about. I got a lot of comparisons to some of those, early Woody Allen films like Annie Halls, and even there was a movie called High Fidelity back from 2000 that there were some critics that kind of compared this to as well, and I can see why. It did get a lot of love during awards season as well, but highly recommend Mark Webb's 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, good call. I thought that might be where you're going when you said you had a movie with summer in the title. It's also a movie that I have continually beat my drum for over the years as well. I think it's there's a lot of lessons for both sides, both men and women, who are approaching and handling and navigating relationships that are healthy lessons that could be learned by all, I think, by really paying attention. And I think how you watch this movie in your 20s can change how you watch it in your 40s. You'll gain different lessons. And great call.
Absolutely. Well, we have time for, I think, for at least a couple of you guys to get in like 2 minutes each of a film. So I'll tell you what, Darryl, let's go right back to you, man.
Yeah, real quick, another June release for me, 92, a little joint called Patriot Games. When people online bemoan that they don't make them like they used to, for me, this is they don't make them like they used to. An adaptation of Tom Clancy joint. Harrison Ford as Jack Ryan is like bread and butter to me. I think he really nailed the character as a fan of Clancy novels. This is, early on in the character's career, but it's just a good 90s action thriller. Sean Bean is your villain. It's such a fun ride, and it's so wrapped up in the Clanciness of it, you don't really realize, oh, that was a summer blockbuster, wasn't it? It's the closest I get to my, popcorn flying into theaters type movie. It's such a fun romp. I love it from beginning to end.
Oh, absolutely. I love it as well. It's one that my bride, Beth, always wants to go back to as well. So Patriot Games, good choice. All right, Douglas, you got 2 minutes to dive in with another one on your list, man.
Mine is from 2019. It is a North Carolina feature written and directed by Tyler Nielsen and Michael Schwartz. It's The Peanut Butter Falcon. It's the story of a young man with Down syndrome who has always wanted to be a wrestler. He is currently living in a retirement facility, if you will. He's living with Bruce Dern, and he wants to get out there, and he decides to go for it. And along the way, and that's Zach Gotteskin. And Zach is on the road, and he's doing his thing, and he runs into Shia LaBeouf, who's on a bit of bad luck. And the two of them sort of bump into each other. And through Zach's gumption and Shia's, well, something, they figure out a way to help Zach. Can he make his dream come true and learn how to become a wrestler and go to a wrestling camp that is in North Carolina? It is a road trip movie. It is a comedy, a bit of drama, bit of action. But Zach is just truly wonderful in this. Shai gives some of the best work that I think he's done so far in his catalog. Dakota Johnson is in this, along with Thomas Hayden Church, John Hawkes, John Bernthal, a couple of names that everybody would know. But it's so beautifully shot. It encapsulates what's really wonderful about North Carolina, particularly the rural areas. And it's a kind of film that doesn't look down at all on any aspect of its story. It is not about, we're supposed to feel so. It's not that kind of thing. The character that Zach plays isn't someone we're supposed to feel bad for. He's just a person who has been held back from his dream, and this is his story of becoming the Peanut Butter Falcon. And so if you've never checked it out, give it a shot.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It is charming. And it is a film that everybody needs to watch. And I mean that across the board. It's a film that can appeal to families, and it hit all the quadrants. I think it's one of those that just can speak to so many people. Absolutely. Cool. Peanut Butter Falcon from 2019. All right. Well, we may have to come back for a part 2 because I'm sure we've got a few more on our list. So we'll see if we want to schedule a part 2 of Was That Really a Summer Release? We do appreciate everybody spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Darryl Mansel and Douglas Davidson joining us to talk about those films that really were released in the summer. You can always email us at info@c19.tv. We do encourage you and invite you to spend time with us every week. And thank you for that. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Appreciate it. And until next time, for Meet Me at the Movies, Noel T. Manning II, and that is a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.